Hi, it's Jackie here from the LGFA, and I'm delighted to be on another Zoom call today. And my very special guest is one of the greatest footballers that has ever played our sport, it's fair to say, Juliet Murphy from Donoughmore and Cork. Juliet, how are you?
I'm great, Jackie. I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. You have a busy house.
Yeah, it's a little bit noisy now at the moment, so I
You're
don't know.
absolutely fine. Tell us, Juliet, you have two kids.
Yes, Sophia
So
and Ma.
So life has changed significantly for you since your inter-county days. How have you found the transition, if I can call it that, Juliet, from inter-county football to motherhood and all of that comes with that?
Yeah, I suppose I'm finished playing intercounty since 2013, and so I had a good number of years to get used to not having football before the kids came along, I suppose. So it's been a nice transition, I suppose. I've enjoyed my new stage of life.
Absolutely. And Sophie is the eldest.
She's the youngest,
Oh,
so
she's
she's
the
9 months.
youngest. She's
nine
nine
months old.
months. Okay. And what age is Moss?
She's nearly 2.
Wow. Okay. So you're busy.
I, I
Good.
know.
And Juliet, in terms of work, where are you with that at the moment? Are you on maternity? Are you back? What's the plan?
So I came back in May which was the online period for teaching. So I was back in May and June, and I'm back in September, thankfully full time back into the classroom again, which will be lovely.
Yeah, how have you found all of that and COVID and all of that and how it's impacted on everybody, Julia, especially in your profession? How have you found and managed all of that?
Yeah, I suppose for us here, we probably weren't straying too far because of Sophia only being 4 months old when the lockdown started. So it probably was a nice family time for us in that we weren't going to be straying too far from the house anyway. And it just kind of locked us all in here together, and we enjoyed that period. Um, and I did find, I suppose I was looking forward to going back into the classroom and, getting out of the house again, particularly after the lockdown and all of that. So it was different working from home, and I suppose it's not ideal. While it's great to have children doing something, um, it's difficult even from a teacher's point of view to be setting the right work for all of the children that have different circumstances at home. So that was an enormous challenge for teachers.
What do you think the new normal is going to look like in the classroom, Juliet? Or where are you? What have you been told by the department and the authorities at this point?
We haven't got together as a school team yet. We're due to get together on the 17th of August, and our principal will be outlining to us how it will look for us in our school at that particular time. So I won't really know um, how our school will look until the 17th. But I know I'm teaching fifth class, so we will have to observe social distancing with our children. Um, so I don't know, Jackie. It will be certainly different for every school because
Mm.
it depends on the facilities you have and how big your hall is and stuff. And it depends on the weather,
Yeah.
getting children outside and assembly and all of that. So um, there's a lot of unknowns for us at the minute, but we just do our very best and kind of we just have to give it a go and try and get the kids back into the classroom, get them socializing again with their friends and maybe enjoying school. And it's a challenge for everyone, but I think teachers are more than willing to just get back now and help the economy to get back to, I suppose.
Absolutely, Juliet. It's been a strange time. I brought the kids to the playground yesterday, and all they want to do is socialize with the other kids. They've
Mm.
really missed that aspect. I know Jack, my eldest now, is nearly 5. He's going to be starting primary school, and all he wants is just to be socializing with other kids. But he hasn't been able to do that for the last while. It's been strange and tough on them.
Very tough because it's not natural for them to be not with their friends and that's how they learn. I mean, children learn mostly from their interactions with their peers, um, and even things like in terms of for me, Sophia only being 4 months old, like not getting hugs and things from particularly her grandparents and so on. I mean, that has been tough on children as well, just the
Sure.
physical, the lack of physical touch from anyone outside their parents, really. But then the other side of it is, Jackie's kids are very, very resilient, and
Yeah.
I think once they have an understanding of what's going on, and they understand what the expectations that are there, I think they'll do fine in school. I think they'll probably adapt better than we will.
Yeah, they're more resilient probably than we give them credit for at times, Juliet.
Yeah.
You speak about your peers, and it moves me nicely along. You talk about peers to the great times you had in the Cork jersey and at club level as well. Juliet, you decided to step down, I think it was in 2013 after the All-Ireland final. After stepping down earlier on in the summer, we'll talk about that later on in the conversation. Debut in 1996 against Kerry, 8 All-Ireland Senior medals, 9 Munster titles, 6 All Stars, 2 All-Ireland clubs. Not a bad haul, Juliet.
Yeah, I was very, very lucky at the time I came along, I suppose. Our club had, we had a great coach. Massey Barrett was our coach, and just a great group of girls that we had for, almost 2 decades, really. And Massey really showed us how to train hard and what commitment meant, and taught us great values from a very young age. And we enjoyed great times with Donoughmore, and have, always with your club teammates, you always have a very, very strong connection with them, and that stays forever. And most of us, the girls that I would have played with, have retired now, albeit Rena and Aisling Barrett and Katrina O'Connell. But other than that, most of us have retired and gone on and have children now, so we meet on that basis now.
Yeah, it's even from that Cork team. I know Ange is a mum, Nullig, Breach, yourself. I'm probably leaving out more. There's quite a few of you have made that journey. Yeah, it's amazing. Do you still keep in touch with each other, Juliet? Or obviously the last few months has been more difficult. Do you have a WhatsApp group, maybe the Cork legends from that era?
Yeah, some people are better than others. I'm not so great with the group chats at times, but yeah, we have a WhatsApp group, and we try to organise catch-ups, and then there's no, it's no big deal if you can't meet up with the group. Sometimes we meet, and we meet up individually then with each other. So yeah, we still have nice bit of contact with the girls from the Cork team.
Absolutely. Juliet, I've listed your honours. I mean, that they're the tip of the iceberg. Former footballer of the year as well. Just one of the finest players I've ever seen in the flesh. I have to say, I was privileged to report on a lot of your games and watch you strutting your stuff. To pick out a highlight out of all of that, can I ask you what would be the standout moment or moments from that career, Juliet?
I suppose when we first beat Mayo in the All-Ireland semi-final in 2005, I think overcoming Mayo that day was a huge triumph for us, and we respected them so much, and had always held them in such high regard, and then to finally overcome them, having had the disappointment of 2004, that for me was one of the greatest highlights that I will have with that particular Cork team, because it was a breakthrough, I suppose, Jackie.
And did you ever envisage the run that would follow, Juliet, and the period?
Not in a million years.
But did you realise you were part of something special and a really special group at the same time?
Yes, I suppose, but it's probably not very accurate for me to say that. No, looking back, yes, but at the time you're just, as a footballer, like, you can be quite selfish, and it's just about going out and performing and trying to keep the team nucleus together and achieving, and you're not really thinking too much beyond that. It's like getting past that first game and then the next game, and you're kind of in that bubble. But looking back, certainly, I realised what a unique group we had, and I was only watching Sean Boylan's programme last night, and even watching that and hearing some of the Meath players talking about Sean Boylan, I think it resonated hugely with me in terms of what Eamonn Ryan did for us, and and Mary Collins and likes, you know, just people that were involved with the team. Now looking back, I have huge admiration for those people and respect. But at the time, Jackie, you're in that bubble and you're performing and you're trying to get the best out of yourself, and it's not a real time for clapping yourselves on the back or anything like that. It's just very driven, I suppose.
Sure. Can you take me back to the first time, or can you recall the first time you would have encountered Eamon, Juliet? Because obviously I met him quite a few times. A very humble, unassuming man, quiet but really good fun in his own way. Did you realise straight away that you know, they say first impressions last? Did he have something? Did you sense there was something about this man that was really, really special?
Well, I knew about Eamon from particularly from my dad. Like when Eamon, we got word that Eamon was getting involved with us, my dad informed me of Eamon's credentials, you know, and was excited that it was, I suppose, very much so that it was someone neutral and not involved in any way with any club or anything like that, because that was important to us at that time, because there was such club rivalry in Cork. And I suppose it was amazing for us that someone like Eamon would have interest in coaching us. And then I just remember him being just kind of easygoing, you know, go out. I mean, we had a training session in Donoughmore, and we just kind of played these kind of matches, and he just observed them, and that was kind of it. He was kind of easygoing at the start, and then he'd come up chatting to people and individuals, and he was just engaging. And I suppose it wasn't until, you know, we got into the real training later on in the season that we just realised how good he is.
What was it about him? What were his best attributes, Juliet? Because you hear the phrase that some people are a good coach, some people are a good manager, but he seemed to combine the two very, very well. He was a really good manager, but also a special coach.
Yeah, I suppose his attention to detail, Jackie, was incredible, and his real emphasis on the skills of the game and perfecting those. So blocking down, near hand tackling, like when you're kicking, you're following through, you know, like all the small things that, you know, that we're just honed in on just to try and improve on us all the time. You know, so it was that. It was his ability to get into our heads, I suppose, and to motivate us. So the motivation was completely intrinsic. You know, wanting to win that ball was coming from us, because he had driven us so much to perform even the simple of tasks to the best we could and not take anything for granted. You know, and if you fell, you got knocked down, try and get up again straight away. You know, don't be lying on the ground for too long. He wasn't a fan of that either. So it was that, and then it was and is still his ability to look at things in the wider world that we can relate to and bring that back into the sporting context. So that we had lots of triggers like that, like from literature and from music, like of exam. You know, he just had it all. This just the ability to just to motivate us and make us feel important to the team. So
you touched on something very, very which I'm fascinated by, Juliet, that intrinsic motivation piece, because obviously if you're intrinsically motivated, the extrinsic rewards will come in terms of medals and the nice nights out and the All Stars and that and those nice things. But how on earth did you guys keep motivated for that consistent period of years to keep coming back and coming back and coming back? Because we've seen athletes and they win one and it sates that hunger. But you guys came back year on year with almost those same levels of desire and determination to repeat what you'd done a year previously. How did you do that?
It was, I think I'll just bring it back again to the performance of the skills and the tasks. So like there is never a game or a day or a training session that you do all of those skills in a game perfectly. And then there's that added pressure of your opponents and so on. So there was always room for improvement. So there wasn't ever any time that we felt, yeah, we've done, yeah, even winning in All Ireland, you know, there was always things that we always felt we could improve upon. And then there was a huge competition for places as well. So there was that competition within ourselves. And then it was just kind of the, you know, to use the word culture, is the culture within the team to do your best and to try not to do anything that would harm the team in any way. And yeah, sure, we had lots of slip-ups in that. We were far from perfect, but I think everybody just tried their best, so everyone wanted to be part of it. And then we great crack and great fun, so you wanted to remain part of that, you know. And then we trained hard, but we enjoyed ourselves off the field as well. So it was just that mixture. You wanted to stay involved, you wanted to be part of it, and you didn't want the journey to end. So we always had that sense that maybe if we lost, the journey would end, you know, like, you know, maybe we could step away, or some of the management team, and, you know, things might change, the dynamic would change. And so we, you know, you were kind of determined to try and keep it together for as long as we could.
So you went on that run, right? So there was obviously the great success from 2005 on, and then bang comes Banagher in 2010, Juliet, which I know has been referenced by so many of the players as a touch point to come back and have a new period of success. It was one of the girls I was talking to a few years ago, and I think Mary referenced it in the book as well, Relentless, Mary White's book, a brilliant book. A pivotal meeting in Larry Tompkins' pub, which kind of obviously put to bed what had happened in Banagher against Tyrone, and was it a clean slate then again, Julia, that you were? It was there. It was always there. What happened that day, but you could do nothing about it. You just had to get back on the horse and go again.
Yeah, and we just put that behind us and started again. And we knew ourselves individually and collectively that we hadn't trained very well that year. That is not in any way taking from, you know, Tyrone beating us on the day. They were a far better team. They deserved to win. We had slackened off definitely individually, and we were starting to rebuild a little bit, and maybe felt that if we got over Tyrone, things were gelling together. But we got caught, you know.
Did you sense that throughout the year, Juliet, that things weren't as they should be? Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
There were little things that we did and I did, and they were just took the foot off the pedal a little bit. And Breach was also travelling that year, and Breach was a massive loss for the team as well. And her commitment and her drive, that can't be underestimated either. You know, the loss that she was to the team in terms of setting an example to all of us of how it is to train and train hard. So, you know, there were a lot of factors that year. And then we were just beaten by a team that wanted it more. For, I know it's a cliche, but they did in that second half. I mean, for almost 15-20 minutes we couldn't win a kick out, we couldn't get the ball over our own midfield.
And Juliet, so when that's happening, when you mentioned the culture in the team and the standards of excellence that you had set for yourselves, so when you feel that those standards are being eroded a little bit, and you know it's happening, how do you address that, or is there any way to stop it? Did anybody mention it during the year, guys? I don't think we're where we should be. Or was it, as you say, a sense that, okay, right, we might just still get through because we're a quality side? And was it a case of maybe papering over the cracks when things might have been addressed in a different way?
Like we had addressed them. We had team meetings, and so we had called ourselves out on that, saying, look, you know, we haven't been as diligent. We need to cop ourselves on, and so on and so forth. But like I said, we thought we might have had it just enough to get past Tyrone, and then you would have, you'd have been on that road. Then it would have been, you'd be looking at All Ireland semi-final, and there would be no need for anyone to put up their socks at that stage. But so we had addressed it, but not enough, obviously. And it's only looking back now, it's, we clearly hadn't done enough just to win that day.
But you did come back and you won 11, 12 and 13, and you dropped a little bombshell. I think it was in June of 2013 when you announced you were stepping away, Juliet. What was your thinking and your mindset behind that decision at the time?
I suppose I was teaching at the time. I was running my own gym, and I was just maybe lacking, but I didn't train that winter. Was the first time I didn't like apply myself and train and do some pre-season training, and I just felt flat. And I suppose I also felt a little bit that I was slowing down. And maybe a lot of it was mentally as well, Jackie. If I was being very honest, I was probably saying, maybe, I don't want to have some young girl running past me now, and, there was probably a little bit of that, a bit of ego there as well. And I just felt maybe I should call time on it. I just was a little bit flat. And I just didn't have the motivation or the energy to face training. I didn't do it for a break. I wasn't taking a break. It was just, I just felt, look, if I haven't the pre-season done, if I'm not there with the team at the start, then I shouldn't be there, and I don't deserve to be there, and you're either in or you're out. So that was the way I looked at it. And maybe at the time I could have spoken to Eamonn and said I needed time off, but I actually didn't feel that it was a time off thing. I just thought I was done,
But you weren't.
I wasn't. I probably would have been had things been running perfectly fine. I went down to the Carsavine to watch the girls against Kerry, and they'd lost, and I knew things just weren't going great, and I had been on to a number of the girls, and particularly, I suppose, Nolly Cleary, to be fair, and Frankie Hoonan had rang. Eamonn and I had never spoken, but Nolly had, that she had taken a bit of time out, but she said, come back, trainees and the bad, you'll be okay, and just see how it feels, and if it doesn't feel right, sure, by all means, like, no one will know, you just step away again. So I suppose I really have Nolly to thank, as someone who kind of prompted me even to collect me that Wednesday night to go training. She was like, I'll collect you and bring you along. So yeah, I suppose I just made the decision. Maybe I still had something left to give, and if I had, I'd be there to give it. That was it.
And it was an incredible finish to the year, Dan. I mean, you scored 2 points in the final against Monaghan to cap it all, Juliet. But I think you were quoted straight after the game that was that. That there was no coming back after that, after the second time.
Yeah, it was probably a little bit naive of me to do that at the time, because it shouldn't have been. It shouldn't have been. I shouldn't have even said anything. But
you were probably asked, were you?
I was asked. Of course, I was asked, and I stupidly answered. I probably should have just not answered that question at the time. But you're in the euphoria of winning, and you're not as maybe as with it as you should be. But I suppose, Jackie, that year when I did come back, I came on against Armagh in the second half. The team had been flying, and I came on, and we barely won by a point. And
right.
Thanks. And I remember thinking, Jesus, what have I done here? Like, I'm no audition at all, and the team were going great. And then, I came on, and I was marking Carla Hanlon, and she had roasted me, and I just said, oh Jesus, this is not good. So things didn't go as smoothly as I would have hoped it would be, but it worked out all right.
It sure did, Julia. An unbelievable career. The club medals, how do they stack up against the inter-county success? Julia, do you cherish them equally, or is there something about those club medals that resonates a little stronger, or is it the Cork medals that resonates a little stronger with you?
I don't weigh it up that way at all. I have different memories from different matches that stand out, really, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like with our club, particularly the first time we beat Ballymacarbery in 2001. I mean, we were celebrating for about a week. It was just incredible.
Because they were the standard bearers, weren't they, for so long?
So long, and like we had been competitive with them. Like, it started off being competitive with them for about 15 minutes to 20 minutes to half an hour. To that's the way the matches. I think they beat us 6 years in a row. I'm not certain now, but it was certainly, we got a lot of beatings by them. And they had they had some unbelievable players, and we learned so much from our matches against them. But I think that day in Ardfinnan when we beat them, it was magic. It was just pure magic. And just the celebrations at home, I suppose, with your community and all that, they really stand out. So yeah, I think that's definitely one of the clubs. And obviously the Club All-Irelands were fantastic as well, because the whole parish is travelling. And the Donoughmore girls won the Junior All-Ireland last November. And it was the same thing, the whole parish getting behind and getting involved and supporting them. So it's the same thing. So that has great memories for lots of people then, not just the players.
Juliet, I was at that game last November, an incredible game. Went to extra time. Rena was magnificent, and she came to Croke Park then before Christmas and accepted a Player of the Month award. And she said to me that day, "Jackie, do you know this is the first ever Player of the Month award I've ever gotten?" And I was like, "Are you messing?" But I suppose it goes back to a question I wanted to ask you, Juliet. What's it like then, or what was it like? What's it like to watch your club playing like that? And what was it like in, say, 2014? When you're watching the girls, 15 minutes to go, 10 points down against Cork, where's your head at that stage? Are you happy with your decision that you made, or are you thinking, oh, I wish I could be out there to turn this around? Or was there a spark in there thinking, this isn't finished yet, they'll come back?
I was doing commentary with TG4.
Right, actually, yeah.
And I just remember going, like, how am I going to face this now when this is over? Like, Cork having lost so badly, like the things were so bad. And like, it's only natural, Jackie. Everyone around me wanted Dublin to win. They wanted new All-Ireland champions, and I get that, and I totally understand that. Anyone but Cork. But I don't think I felt at any stage that there was anything I could do, because they were so swamped, I didn't think any individual could just fly in and do something. But it was the greatest comeback of all.
Incredible. It was incredible.
It was just grit and determination and doggedness, and it was incredible. And
did you think it was gone from them, Juliet?
I did, Jackie, to be fair. I mean, it was just hard to see how they could turn it around, But once we got the first goal, then I thought, yeah, you could nearly feel the momentum swinging. I believed then, that they could.
We had Breach on recently, and Breach said there was a moment when herself and Deirdre Riley just looked at each other. And it was kind of, maybe without even saying anything, maybe it was like, not today, not.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not one of those moments. Did you ever experience that with the girls? Because you were part of an unbelievable comeback, I think, against Dublin in your time as well. I think you were 9 points down in a quarter final, if my memory serves me correct. And where do you find, given all the success that you've had previously, where do you find that inside yourself to say, not today?
I think it comes back to what we spoke about earlier in terms of your I suppose, like, Eamonn's attention to detail of performing the skills to your best of your ability. And it literally comes back to that, Jackie, when you have the ball, you're trying to do the right thing with it. You're, when they have it, you're trying to get it off them, you're trying to get a block, you're trying, so it's in the very present moment of trying to do the absolute right thing, so if that's in you, and if that's there, and if that's how you've been trained, you're almost robotic to do that. Yeah. When things are desperate, and that was one of the great things Eamonn always did with us. So we never took for granted any skill that you would perform. You always had to have your attention on it, and not, I still hear, don't give the ball away, don't, we were playing possession game, don't give it away. And then when you're doing that at training for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, like, in the heat of a game, an intense game, that's the stuff that comes back to you, I think.
Yeah, and I remember you were running down the clock so many times as well with the keep ball towards the end of matches. So that was obviously ingrained in you as well. Julia, that club final last year just struck me, and I wanted to ask you about it. What kind of an experience was that to
Well, Sophia did upset my experience of that because I went out to the semi-final out in Donoughmore, and that was a superb win. But Sophia was born that evening, that night,
yes?
early this morning, and so she upset my plans to go to the All-Ireland final, which was the following weekend. She was just a bit
Did you get to see it?
Oh yeah, I went over to my sister's house and we watched it on live on Facebook,
Yeah.
uh, and uh, it was fantastic. It was like I could see some of the girls that were playing before they were shown on the camera as well. I suppose I would have just loved to have been there. It was just a little bit too far to travel when Sophia was so small, but it was a massive achievement
Yeah.
for not only the girls, but Christy and Donny that are involved, and Kathleen, like they've and Louise, people have done so much for the club to keep it going, because effectively, Jackie, our club was so near folding.
Yes.
Our senior team fell apart, and we didn't have any youth coming along to try and balance it. And
Was it a natural attrition, Juliet, that players just, they retired and other commitments, and that there just wasn't maybe the population to back up what was happening, or what were the reasons behind that?
I suppose maybe, having had such success for such a long time, the focus was very much on the senior team maybe, and maybe we didn't, as a club, try and build that critical under 18s kind of, that age group that, where a lot of girls fall away at that, 16, 17, 18, 19 kind of, years. And I think now, there's a huge amount of girls playing at, under 8s, under 10s, under 12s, under 14s. So it's there now, and there are loads of people who have volunteered to coaching. The quality of coaching has improved. And
Okay.
that, again, is down to the LGFA and the courses that are put out there, and also the interest from you to normally parents that come and coach and train the teams. And then you have exceptions like Christy and Donny, who just said, look, we're going to take on the junior team, and we're going to bring these girls together, and have done an absolutely great job. And they're up intermediate now, and they've won one out of their 2 games, and then they've another game this weekend. So
Excellent.
they've done great.
Excellent. Well, the green shoots are very much there, Juliet.
Yeah, I think there are almost close to 40 girls training with the
Excellent.
intermediate team now. So there are actually 2 teams there. So, yeah, the club has certainly dragged itself up off its knees, and for as long as there's a team like that at intermediate or junior, senior level, whatever level it is, then there's something for the younger girls to aim to. And it was a great experience for, my niece is 15, and it was great for her. She went to all the matches with her dad, and just to be able to see the likes of Rena and Aisling and Katrina and loads of the girls, like, see them play, and to say, like, these are the girls I want to be like, I want to emulate, that's so important, to have your role models at a club level.
Who were your role models, Juliet? I'd kind of just go back to the start. What was it that sparked your interest in sport?
My dad and my brothers, obviously Mum was keeping the whole show going, but I only see that now. But my dad was very much and is very much involved in sport and loves sport. And then I used to play a lot with the boys at home, and they were older than me, and then got involved in school. We had a good Skeena Skull team with the boys in school, and Seamus Toomey was our principal there. A huge interest in sport, and huge interest in girls playing sport, which would have been unique enough at that time, Jackie, I suppose, and had a few of us girls playing with the boys, because there wasn't a girls team at the time. So there was that. I suppose that sparked my interest. And then I remember ringing was about 14, and I rang Sheila Quinlan now, and asked her could I sign up and play with the club, and went up and started playing, cycled up to training and started playing, and just had, like any club, you just kind of enjoy it and met your friends and all of that. So that is how I got started in football.
I always admired your athleticism and your fitness levels. You're just able to cover so much ground in a short period of time. Was there a point when you realised that you were quite good at this game?
God.
Don't be modest now.
I won't be, Jackie. I'll be straight. In 1990, there was those competitions, within primary school, the primary games, and then you got to go and play at halftime in Croke Park. I played in 1990 for Cork, actually, and I remember, like, that experience of saying, God, I got picked out of loads and loads of girls to be in this. I think that was one of the, as a 10-year-old, I just got, God, this is great. Yeah. And then the following year I played against, it was Meath and Down were playing, and I'm not sure, but I think maybe Helen O'Rourke might have been refereeing the game, because I have a picture at home, and I think Helen might have been the referee. But we played at half time during that, and just that was an amazing experience. I wasn't a Meath fan, so I wore a Down cap and the Meath jersey after.
Sophia's okay there. She is, Juliet.
I should maybe pick her up, I suppose.
Yeah, do you want to grab her there? We'll wait on for you. Go on. We'll wait on for you here. Juliet Murphy from Cork. Absolute a living legend of the game.
Yeah.
Here she comes.
Here we go.
Hello, pet.
Oh.
And that's Sophia. Juliet, I suppose we've recently welcomed the third little boy to our family. Can I ask you about motherhood and how it's maybe changed you or shaped you, and in terms of a life experience, and by two in your case, what's it been like? How have you found it?
It's been amazing, Jackie. I couldn't have imagined that life would turn out like this, having two lovely kids and a great partner in Brian. And I suppose I've just embraced it, and I kind of enjoy the time with them. And sometimes I have to pinch myself and go, God, is this me? And recently some of the games were on TG4, and I got to see glimpses of some of them, not all of them, but like, I'm looking at that going, God, was that me? And I was chatting to Eamonn recently, and he also had watched some of the games, and I was saying, God, Eamonn, it just feels like it's not us at all, like that. It's like a lifetime ago, but I suppose it has for me. It's been 7 years ago, so that's a very long time. But I suppose I have a closeness now with even my parents, I suppose, maybe more appreciation of what my parents did for me in my life, particularly with sport, actually, Jackie, and where the sacrifices they made in their own lives to take me to games and trainings, up and down the country, for basketball and football. And so I have more of an appreciation of what they have done for me and the values that they have set for me in my life. I think I'm probably a little bit more, I'm more aware of that, definitely, from having kids.
Very much so, because they're really important. We rely on them heavily now, I'll be honest. So they're very, very important. Juliet, the basketball as well, was something I wanted to ask you about. How much of a component of your sporting life was that? Obviously, you're more renowned for your football prowess, but you had a huge draw for basketball as well.
I suppose basketball had a great impact on me in terms of, or influence on me in terms of training and training methods and stuff, because at the time we were training with the senior team with Jerry Fitzpatrick and from Waterford, and Jerry was
IT, isn't he? Lecturer there, yeah.
Yes, yeah, and Jerry had done a lot of his training and learned an awful lot in the States, so he had a lot of great training techniques and fitness techniques that I would have learned a lot from as a 19 and 20-year-old. And I suppose basketball was great in terms of it's a good sport to have in terms of your vision when you're playing other sports. It definitely helps that.
Very transferable skills, Juliet. Yeah.
Yeah, they are definitely, and even I think even bouncing the ball with your non-dominant hand, your weaker hand. I think because you're used to dribbling with both hands, and it's something you'd often see Nolly Cleary in particular. Like she's left-legged, but she'd often take the bounce with the right. She's a very, very good basketball player. You could see the skills transferring, particularly with Nollig anyway, when she played,
Yeah. Just on Nollig, because you mentioned the influence she had on you back in 2013. I just, shooting the breeze here, Juliet, I thought she was one of the most underrated players that you had. She just, in terms of making things tick, doing the dirty work, winning that dirty ball, and well able to score as well. But Nollig's influence on that setup was phenomenal, I thought.
Yeah, and I think particularly as well the importance of having such a good left-legged player on that right wing was very important for even that crossfield ball that she often gave, and she had great vision, and I suppose she was very selfless, really, Jackie, and that's perhaps why Nollig didn't care whether she got the score or not, and she'd always give the ball to the person in the best position, and her work rate was just outstanding.
Juliet, I'm conscious of time because you have your hands full. I want to finish up by asking: do you still keep an eye on the fortunes of the Cork team, and how do you think they'll maybe fare if and fingers crossed we get Championship 2020 up and running?
Yeah, I do. I definitely keep an eye out. I suppose to a lesser extent, since most of the girls that I would be closer to have dropped off, but certainly keep an eye on, and Twitter is great for that, just to keep an eye on matches and stuff. I certainly wouldn't know the goings on in the team like I would have used to before, so definitely very much removed from that, which is no bad thing either. But it'll look at December 20th, is it, Jackie, that we're looking at?
December 20th is the final at Croke Park, yeah.
So look, please God that the matches will go ahead, and be looking forward to seeing some games on the TV again, and who knows, by then we might be even able to go to the games. But I think Cork are competitive, and they'll always be there or thereabouts. So hopefully we'll get to an All-Ireland final and might do a little bit better than.
Good stuff. Yeah, great talking to you. Grab your phone.
Grab my phone, yeah.
Julia, it's been great catching up. Always love chatting to you. We were all extremely blessed and fortunate to watch you play and achieve so much, and watch you grace the fields of play, and great to hear that you were feeling so blessed now in your current life with your two beautiful kids. Juliet, we'll catch up soon, and many thanks for your time today.
Thanks, Jackie, and congratulations to you.
Thanks a million, Juliet.
All right, bye. Take care.
Bye-bye.